Hey guys! So today I wanted to talk about OC tropes I personally dislike. OC meaning original character, for anyone who doesn't already know. These are common design tropes people use for their characters, an example being sparkle dogs, which are dogs that are covered in bright neon colors. And I'll get into them later in this video. But before I begin, I just wanted to remind everyone watching that my opinion might be different from yours. You might love a character trope that I dislike, and that's okay. An OC trope isn't bad because I say it is, it's only my opinion. I just thought it'd be fun to make a video on my personal takes on these kinds of characters. So basically, don't take it too personally if I dislike a trope that you happen to like. Lastly, just because an artist draws these character tropes doesn't mean that I don't like the artist. I'm just not a fan of the design choice for the OC, but I can still appreciate their artwork. Anyways, with that all said, let's get right into the worst OC tropes in my opinion. Sparkle dogs. Alright, I gave a very obvious hint that sparkle dogs would be included in this video. I know there's a good amount of people that love this OC trope, so I'm very sorry to say, but I do not like sparkle dogs. I've always been drawn to very simplistic designs. You'd be able to notice that just by seeing some of my own OCs. I also try to stay away from using bright neon colors in my designs, and sparkle dogs are very bright, colorful, and complex in their designs. Well, complex in the way that there's a lot going on with their color scheme. Whenever I see a sparkle dog, I just feel overwhelmed by all of the colors in their designs. There is way too much going on in their designs. I know that's the point, but I just don't like it. I personally gravitate towards characters that I can remember. Like a character design like Mordecai from Regular Show, for example. It's interesting, but it's also simple enough where the brain can remember it. With sparkle dogs, I can't remember each and every color/details in their designs, and in my personal opinion, I think that's kind of a bad thing. But I sort of feel bad for dogging on sparkle dogs so much, so the one last thing I'll say is that sparkle dogs are cute. Like, they have this pure, fun energy and give off some 2000s vibes, so in the end of the day, they aren't totally the worst. Just kinda the worst, in my opinion. Water/liquid dogs. Water/liquid dogs are an OC trope where part of the character has water or some kind of liquid on their body. Also, they don't have to be dogs, they can be any animal, but dogs are just most commonly associated with this trope. And this is a tough one for me. I used to like water dogs a lot more when I was younger, but as I got older, I liked them less and less. Concept-wise, how does it even work? How do these characters have water or liquid limbs without gravity pulling the liquid to the ground? I guess I shouldn't harp on the logic too much, as there's a lot of character tropes that don't have much logic in their designs. I feel like water dogs were very popular at one point in time. I don't see them as much anymore, but there was a time when I saw water dog OCs all the time from different artists. And some of them didn't even make sense for their design. They'd look like a normal dog or cat or whatever animal it was, but slapped on with some water limbs, and I think that's why I started to dislike them, because their designs felt random and executed poorly. Although I will say that some artists can pull these water dogs off. Like, I've seen some really cool OCs out there. I think as long as your design makes sense for the liquid of your choice. That sentence sounds so weird. But like, you know, if you're doing water, then make your OC related to the beach. Or if you're doing lava, then make your OC related to a volcano or something. You get the point. So water/liquid dogs aren't the worst thing in this video, but I'm not a huge fan of them anymore. Alien species. So, the alien species OC trope. I don't have a problem with the fact it's an alien, more so the fact these character tropes end up looking like a green or blue cat, dog, or human, whatever the OC is based upon. Because, let's be honest, if you've seen these OCs, you know exactly what I mean. I will admit, some artists can get creative and will push past the norm of making an animal green with antennas. I've seen the odd, cool-looking alien OC, typically going into that creepy, uncanny valley that you should feel with an alien. But that's the rarity in this OC trope. Therefore, I still have a problem with majority of these characters. Alien OCs just lack that creativity to me. Like, you could do so much more of this OC concept, but instead, so many people choose to make it a green cat with antennas and an alien-looking tail. I think I'm just disappointed by all of the missed potentials by this OC trope, because when I see a green cat with antennas and an alien tail, I think it's cute. Like, I'm not opposed to that kind of character, but it's just more cat than it is alien, and I wish many of these OCs looked more alien-like, or at least had some Uncanny Valley vibes. The TV/object head. So, I'm not a fan of the TV/object head trope for OCs, and I'm aware how many people love this OC trope, so I'm saying this all with caution. But it's just not my thing. I don't care about these characters. To me, it's basically just a character with a TV or object slapped on the head, and coming from a design standpoint, this can take away from the personality of the character, because there isn't a head nor face, which is pretty crucial in design, so I find I can't resonate or understand the character. But I should mention, in some cases, having no face can actually help, depending on the character's personality. Like if they are mysterious, evil, or a quiet character, think about the one villain from Hazbin Hotel, I think having their head as an object is quite fitting. It's not always a bad thing, it's just when the character's personality doesn't fit the object's vibe. I've seen characters that are meant to be very excitable, bold, bubbly, having a TV for their head, and it just doesn't really work, in my opinion. I will say, if the character has a face put onto the object, that can help. Like some of the TV head characters have digital faces, and I think that is better than having it just be a TV. Even though I'm personally not a fan of this OC trope, I have seen some TV head or object head OCs that are done well, where the design matches the character's personality and so on. But again, this trope just isn't for me. Complex design trope. So this is sorta similar to the sparkle dog trope, but it's definitely different, so it deserves its own category. Basically, it's what it says, an OC that's overcomplicated, designed in a way that's too complex, at least in my opinion. This often happens with furry OCs, where it's just a ton of different colors and patterns and accessories on a character, and it's just unnecessary. I guess that's why reference sheets from all angles are needed for some of these OCs. This also can happen with some anime OCs too. It's not just furries. They don't need all the blame for this OC trope. Some of these characters can look really great, especially if they are furries and have a fursuit made for them, but I'm personally just not a fan. Because as I said with the sparkle dogs, I prefer simple designs, ones that I can remember easily. So the same problem I had with the sparkle dogs arises with any other complex OCs. Their designs are overwhelming to me, and I can't find myself getting too invested with them as characters in the process. I just don't like complicated designs. How do the artists even draw these characters so much? That would be so annoying to draw and color each and every little pattern and accessory. Also, kinda related, my dislike for overcomplicated characters is the reason I'm not a huge fan of the character designs in Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss. Mary Sue. So I might be a bit hypocritical with this one, because growing up I had a character called Emmy, who is definitely a bit of a Mary Sue. Looking back, she didn't really have any flaws, other than being a bit weird to the other characters in the story, but even so, I wrote her in a way where everyone loved her. Plus, I gave her powers in one of my stories. So yeah, Mary Sue vibes for sure, even if she doesn't look like the typical Mary Sue character. Anyways, even though I created an OC like this in the past, I'm not a fan of the Mary Sue trope. As time went on and I got older, I've been more interested in good storytelling, and a Mary Sue character is definitely not good storytelling material. For anyone who doesn't know, a Mary Sue is a character that is perfect. So perfect, in fact, they don't feel realistic. They don't have flaws or struggles or anything to work towards. Therefore, they're kinda boring. We love to see characters grow and develop. So when they are perfect, they come off as stale from a writing standpoint. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this character trope. Design-wise, they are typically female, but a Mary Sue can also be male. It's just that majority seem to be female or female-presenting. And they usually look conventionally attractive, and in some cases have wings, bright-colored hair, or any sort of magical elements. And personality-wise, as I've already mentioned, they are perfect and can do no wrong. And that is the end of the worst OC tropes, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun making this video, as I've definitely felt a certain way about a lot of these OC tropes, and it's nice to be able to discuss them and my thoughts. Hopefully nobody takes any of this too seriously, as it's just my opinion, and at the end of the day, this video was for fun. Something I didn't expect was that while talking about the tropes I disliked, I realized how many OC tropes I love. Like, I love way more OC tropes than I dislike. and I think that's a good thing. I don't want to be a hater all the time. So if this video does well, then I'd consider talking about the OC tropes that I love, to show some appreciation for them. But anyways, that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and or comment. I'm trying to really grow this channel, so anything helps. It's been Lean Puppy, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time.